I want to change lives. I want to show people how to progress in their money. I want to show people how to progress in their mindset. I want to show people how to progress in their brand so that way they can take care of their family, take care of their finances, and experience freedom.
We're going to talk about today is just your life and how you really got started and how you're expanding your business and really trying to influence others in the world. So I guess my first question would be definitely where you got started and how this has changed your life in so many ways.
Oh man, that's a great question, and how it changed my life. So I'm originally from the East Coast, came from the smallest state in the came from the smallest state in the country, and I was raised in the smallest city in that state. The city I was raised in is literally one square mile. So from one end of the city to the other, you can walk, and it's only a mile. And it's a bunch of people piled up on top of each other, that it's like crabs in a bucket. And living in that type of city, in that type of environment, it's a hustle, fast pace, get what you want, get out of my way, honking, and the whole 9 yards. But there was also drugs, gang, and violence there. And I knew at a young age that I really did not feel like this was for me. So I started researching different ways to make money so one day I could leave. And I realized I learned about commission sales. So at this time, I'm working at Wendy's fast food restaurant, and I'm learning how to flip burgers. So my attention span is solely on how do I flip this burger, and what's the difference between a small fry and a large fry, and how do I get it into the bag fast enough so I can hand it out the window in a quick pace, because we had a clock running, and we were always trying to beat the time of like getting somebody out in 20 seconds, like from order to completion, get them out in 20 seconds. Can you do that today? All right, team, go. And that was my day-to-day experience. And I knew that I was capped at making $7.40 per hour, but I wanted to make more money per hour. So I learned about sales commission, and I saw that T-Mobile had a commission job opportunity. I applied for T-Mobile, and they denied me for whatever reason, maybe because I was 17, for whatever reason. Then right next to T-Mobile was Metro PCS. I walked into Metro PCS and I say, hey, I'm looking for a job, give me an opportunity. And then the guy who's standing there says, okay, I'll take your resume. And what he ended up doing was throwing away, that I later found out. I went down the street to another Metro PCS who happened to be connected to the first one. And I walked in with my polo shirt tucked in. And the manager says, this young black man walks in with the polo tucked in, very polite. I want to give him a job. So she gave me a job. And now I'm working at this place, and it was a black owner who owned the company. So a black guy named James owned this company. And how it changed my life, and that's how I started, but how it changed my life is that once I got that job working at Metro PCS, I first went to the first guy and I said, hey man, why did you throw away my resume? I heard you threw away my resume, but no problems. The second store hired me. But I went to James and I said, will you teach me how to sell? Will you teach me how to run a business? And that's how it all started. So at 19, someone believed in me, suggested I open up my own cell phone store. After working for James for a year, learning the ropes of running the business from James, learning how to be a manager under James's leadership. After a year working for James, someone believes in me and says, hey man, open up your own cell phone store, Anthony. I had to overcome fear. I didn't have that belief in myself. I said to that person, I said, look, I'm 19, I'm overweight, I'm a college dropout, I'm from the hood. There is no way I can be successful in my own business. And he said, dude, go for it. And I believe in you, just do it. So I said, all right. I scrapped up some money, opened up my first location inside of a mall, a little kiosk. And that one location ended up bringing me my first $1 million, and 4 locations afterwards with the support of 14 employees by the age of 21. So the real key factor is I had a mentor. That's the real key factor, is that I had a mentor who was already succeeding, that was able to teach me the ropes, so that way I can propel my experience. That something that should have took me maybe 10 years, I was able to accomplish that in 1 year because of the support of a mentor. That's how it changed my life.
That's so great. So I guess my next question would be on picking your mentor for people who don't really know where to start as for starting a business, or maybe they're just needing help to grow as a person, life coach or something like that. What would be your key tip on how to pick a mentor?
The best way I would suggest in picking a mentor is finding someone that you truly want to emulate a certain area in their life. See, you may have mentors that are for specific areas. There are 4 major areas in life. You have faith, you have fitness, you have finance, and then you have family. So I may pick a mentor specifically for family because they are successful in their business. I don't want to learn from them. I don't want to learn business strategies from them, but I want to learn how they are a husband and a father at home. So I may have a mentor just for family. Then I may have a mentor for fitness, where this person has a busy schedule the same way that I have a busy schedule, or this person is super, super dedicated in so many areas in their life, but they're still at an elite level in their fitness. So I'm going to choose that person for my fitness mentor. And then I have a mentor for faith, and I have a mentor for finances. But there are some mentors that you may look at this one person, you say, this person emulates all the areas that I want to experience in my life. So I'm going to learn from them how they're able to accomplish and manage all 4 areas of life. But essentially, you'll be duplicating that person, and that's okay, because you end up duplicating that person, and then you add a little bit of your own swag to it.
That's true. That's so good. I think one more question that definitely more people would have is, how is it that you maintain keeping a successful business, but also keeping a successful life?
I don't even know the answer to that, man. I'm still trying to figure that out, man. I don't even know who knows the answer to that.
That's true.
There's so many other areas in life, but essentially I would say that the key determining factor that I've discovered has been to create systems and scale and remove yourself as much as possible. So when you're creating different positions, what you essentially would like to do or want to do is figure out what it is that you're doing, so that way someone else can come in. You got to take the creative knowledge out of the deal, out of the position, and create it to become a system where you're able to duplicate the same result every single time. So for example, that could look like when I was running the cell phone stores, that could look like the sales position. In order to do a sale, our first step was to greet the client, and we had a system or a way that we greeted the customer. Then our second step was to qualify the customer based on the device that they held. And then our third step was to present a new solution or an upgrade to the customer. Then our fourth step was to close. And that is true in all areas in sales, no matter what business you're in. However, we had a system that I was able to take myself out and put somebody else there. That's how I was able to grow to 2 employees, 3 employees, 5 employees, 6 employees, 8 employees, 10 employees. You know what I'm saying? Is having a system so that way you can scale. I remember one of my biggest goals back in the day was I wanted to be at the gym with my best friend, that guy who believed in me. His name was George, and George and we were always talking that one day we would be considered successful in our eyes when we were able to go to the gym, work out while the stores were open, while the cell phone stores were open. Because it meant that he wasn't working, I wasn't working, we were still working. And so when George showed his belief in me and we opened up the cell phone stores, essentially it was like I would work all Sunday, he would work Monday. Or I would work Tuesday morning to 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock, and then he would work the remainder of the day. So we were always switching back and forth. And then we ended up bringing a few people in to support us and help us. But our biggest determining factor was when we were at the gym working out one day, and he looked at me and said, "Do you realize what we're doing?" I said, "What are we talking about? We're doing biceps." And he's like, "Nah, man, we're at the gym working out and we have multiple cell phone stores open at the same time, man." And I said, "Oh, shoot." So it's a good thing also to recognize your progression. Literally 2 days ago, not 2 days ago, last night, I'm sitting here in front of my laptop and I'm looking at the stuff that I've created over the last 3 years. So after I ran the cell phone, I'm 24 now. At 21, I closed down the cell phone stores, I exited that company, and took the money and moved to California, the West Coast, and I became a speaker. And I traveled with the #1 motivational speaker, learned from this speaker, and then now I'm producing conferences throughout the country. And I'm teaching people how to grow their business and how to market their brands. And I was looking at a video last night where I'm looking at this video and it shows a full audience, maybe about 200 people in this audience. The room is completely packed. I have a group of people on my stage. On my stage, the revenue on this stage, we're doing a panel, and the revenue on this stage, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, was probably around the area of $60 million a month. The amount of people that I have on the stage.
Yeah.
So company, one guy, he makes 12 million, the other guy makes 5, the other guy makes 10. So that's how I gauge that number. So about $60 million a month in revenue. And over $500 million in revenue on this stage per year, on this stage in front of me. And I call these guys my friends. So this is a panel of guys. I call these guys my friends. And I'm saying to myself, dude, Andy, you came to California with no relationships, without a clue what direction you were going to go into. You literally landed, got an apartment, and said, now what? And 3 years later, within 3 years, you're producing these high-class, world-class events with people in your network that are making this type of money, living this lifestyle. Man, Andy, you never actually acknowledge yourself. So yesterday, I was looking at the videos and I was like, wow, I'm acknowledging the progression that I've experienced. Coming from a hood on the East Coast, that's a small city, 1 mile in each direction, and 1 square mile in each direction. Ex-drug dealer, cell phone slinger, high school always in trouble, college dropout. I think I dropped out my second semester. It just wasn't for me or whatever, I said to myself. And all these negative beliefs that I have for myself. And I'm like, damn, dude, you're creating all of this stuff. I looked in the mirror, I said, man, one, I acknowledge you. Number 2, you a sexy dude. I love you. I have to look at myself and just let myself know, because I realized that I just did not acknowledge my successes.
That's really good. Acknowledging your successes. I think a lot of people just don't do that enough. I think that's really good, because there's also people who try and they make, 2 or 3 steps above the ladder and they're like, I don't know if I want to keep going because I don't know if I'm going to make it. But the fact that you actually you sat there and you took the time to acknowledge what you're doing, I think that's really good. And that's really healthy, like to sit there and think about it.
I like that how you said that, about a couple steps above the ladder. The higher the ladder, right? Well, first of all, you don't want to be average. So that's why I wrote the book, No More Average. And if your people want to get this book, No More Average, tell them to go to nomoreaveragebooks.com, nomoreaveragebooks.com. But when you go up higher on the ladder, like you were saying, what I believe, and it was confirmed by someone who's much higher above the ladder as far as like revenue and employees and influence than I am. What I discovered was that you're gonna doubt yourself more the higher you go. You're gonna experience more fear the higher you go. You're gonna experience more suppression and oppression the higher you go. And so you got to make a conscious decision that if you really want to go high, you're gonna experience the opposing forces as well.
Mm-hmm. So for your book, what was one thing that was a non-negotiable? It had to be in there no matter what.
I don't think there was a non-negotiable in here. In this book, when I wrote this book, truthfully, the reason I wrote this, the underlying message throughout the whole entire book is recognizing your thoughts of greatness. Your thoughts of greatness are the ideas, the ideology that you possess as a person of what you want to create in the future. So what I believe is that everyone has this idea of their best life in the future. And my belief has always been that God is literally giving you this thought, this idea, this version, and this is what we call potential. So anytime like you're working towards your potential, you're working on your potential, like you're working towards that person that you envision yourself, that sexy body, that car, that job, that lifestyle, that family, the money, anything that you truly desire. I believe that God placed it inside of you because it's gonna help someone else. So when you get that car, the work that you do to get that car has a story and it impacts somebody. So when you get that car and you're working at that 9-to-5 job that you might not be thinking as the ideal life, but you're working towards that car. Well, I truly believe that when God gave you that idea of that car in your heart, that as you were working towards that car, you were learning new skill sets. You were supporting other people. So you might have been working that 9-to-5 job that you don't like, but it was giving other people support. Hey, you went to college to be a nurse, so you can get that car, but you were saving lives along the journey. So your focus was on the car, but your job was supporting other people. So the thoughts of greatness in this book is recognizing that you have a duty and a responsibility to get that lifestyle, to get those results. And this book teaches you exactly how to. And it's essentially by changing your environment with a certain type of people, group of people, getting mentors. I teach you how to get mentors in the book, as well as what to do when you're in stuck situations, and how to reach peak performance, and really and ultimately the most important thing, how to control your mindset.
That's good. So when controlling your mindset, what's one thing that you have to do?
So I learned that a couple of days ago, that if you look up the root word of discipline, the word means to follow a system. So it never meant, I thought for a while that it meant like to be rigid in some certain action. All it means is to follow a discipline. So when follow a system. So when someone says I'm disciplined, it just means that, hey, I just follow the system. And sometimes it's a system that you created, or it's a system that someone else created. So what it means to control your mind in my life is to follow the system. So that I use multiple systems. How do I overcome fear? I have a system. How do I change my activity levels? I have a system. How do I choose the person that I want to be with? I have a system. How do I choose my friends, my business partners? I have a system. So on and so forth. Is simply by having a system and following the system. Mm-hmm. So how to control your mind is to be disciplined. Follow the system.
Yeah, that's really good, because discipline, especially nowadays, discipline, I think people think of it as a different thing. They don't think of it as their own life in their own mind, like with their own body. There's so much that you have to just put discipline on with yourself, with waking up, with going to the gym, with actually like doing the work you have to do. And with that being said, like you were saying, you were like, you have to be disciplined. And that's very true. Like you do. I just think a lot of people forget that one step and think, okay, I can change my mind like that. Like I can just, start thinking different thoughts. And it's like, no, you have to actually put the work in and actually put yourself on some kind of agenda where it's like, okay, I'm going to do it. Like it's going to happen.
Very true.
Super good. What would you say is something that you tell everybody?
What do I tell everybody?
Yeah. That like if anybody just wants your help, like randomly, they're like, I need your help. What would you say?
I just say you're powerful, man. Anyone people on my staff, it's funny because like I have copywriters that write my copy for like my emails and blogs and stuff like that. And some people on my staff, they joke around, not really joke around, but as they're writing the copy, it's to sound very similar to how I sound, because it's coming from Audate. And they'll write in the copy, you're powerful, like a lot of times. Like some of my emails just start with, you're powerful. And that's a true belief that I have, is that you're powerful human being. And I think we undermine our capabilities. We undermine our power. Yesterday, I had a wake-up call. One of my speakers at my seminar, I host a regular seminar called the Progression Conference. The Progression Conference is the tour that I'm bringing around nationally. the idea of the progression conference is that as people come in, they're going to enter this community of daily progressors, people who get better on a daily basis and leave knowing information about how to grow their income so that way they can have freedom with their family. Because that's important to me, having family and having the freedom to spend time with them. And in order to have that freedom, you need income. So I brought up one of my speakers to the progression conference. And at the progression conference, we were discussing about me mentoring her son. So yesterday I was with her son as I took him out to go play basketball. We went out to eat food. We went to hang out, got ice cream, the whole 9 yards. And for when we got into the car, he takes his right hand, grabs his seatbelt, buckles it in. Okay, sweet. Then we get out the car after driving. We get out the car, go play basketball, and then he gets into the car, takes his right hand, grabs the seatbelt buckle, turns around, buckles it in. Sweet. Then we drive over to the ice cream spot. No, we drive over to the restaurant, and after we ate, we spent about an hour. We ate. He got back into the car, grabs the seatbelt, turns it around, and says, "I can't do it, Andy. Can you do it?" And I said, "Oh, you've done it before. Why don't you do it?" And he looks at me. He's like, "I can't do it. It's just not going in." And then this is what he does. He goes, he's 4 years old. He goes, I can't do it. I'm struggling, Andy. And I'm like, I'm not your mom. This doesn't work. That doesn't work for me. I need you to get it in. And he said, I can't do it. I give up. And he throws his seatbelt back. And I said, hey, we got two choices now. I'll do it for you, but if I do it, we're going straight to the house. I'm gonna drop you off right now. However, if you do it, we're gonna go get ice cream. Yo, he starts fighting with me. He's like, I can't do it, Andy. I can't. Can you change the deal? He's a smart kid. He said, can you change the deal? And I'm like, I ain't changing the deal. I said, you got two choices. Make a choice. I'll put it in for you. We're going to the house. You put it in. We're going to get ice cream. He says, I want the ice cream, but I can't put it in. I said, Marty? Yes, Andy? Put the seatbelt buckle inside. And he takes the seatbelt buckle, turns over, I can't. Then he throws a fit, a tantrum, starts crying, kicking and screaming. I can't do it, Andy. You don't understand. Eyes bloodshot red, tears coming down. I just look at him straight dead face. Look at him straight dead face. And then I said, grab the buckle and focus on one thing, Marty. Put the buckle inside, put the seatbelt buckle inside the buckle holder. He grabs the seatbelt buckle, turns the body, puts it in. And then he turns his face. And he's looking outside. He's looking outside the window. And I'm just looking right at him from the driver's seat. And I'm waiting for him to turn. He never turns. He doesn't turn. And I said, Marty? He looks at me and he starts giggling, laughing like, all right, man, I did it. You got me, I did it. And I'm like, Marty, you can do anything you put your mind to. You just gotta focus. And I had an awakening moment. In my life, there's been a lot of challenges on going to the next level, because going to the next level is just that much harder. You made a comment earlier about climbing up the ladder.
Yeah.
Climbing up the ladder, all that means is progressing. So when I go to the progression conference, when I use this word progression, my first company is called Progression Wireless. My marketing firm is called Progression Marketing Group. My fitness apparel line is called Progression Fitness. The reason I use the word progression is because you have to make a conscious decision to get better on a daily basis. So although Marty has done something in the past, he still literally have to focus and do it again with all his might. So in order for you to progress to the next level, I don't know what your question was, but in order for you to progress to the next level, you have to literally focus on where it is that you're going.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if you don't progress, what's going to happen is that the world is continually moving forward and you're stagnant. By you being stagnant, you're essentially literally reversing. You're deteriorating as we speak, unless you get better, either in your health, in your fitness, your finances, your faith. Somehow, every single day, you must get better as a human being towards your ideal goal, which is that potential, that vision that you have for yourself. Otherwise, you're going backwards.
Yeah, definitely. I guess the potential, like what you were just saying, like the potential of the goal, that's definitely, you always have to have that. You always have to have something to look forward to. And people are always so quick to dwell on the past. So how do you feel about that? About dwelling on the past and why we shouldn't do that?
I mean, only if you're acknowledging yourself, if you're just acknowledging yourself, man, and I'm a victim to it too, where I'm not a victim to anything, but I take responsibility for that too, where essentially like I think about the past and how things could have been or things should have been and so on and so forth. But all those processes is what got me to where I'm at to really, really do my life's purpose, you know? So, you know, I look at, for example, at 21, I made the decision. It was a radical decision. I have a successful business. I'm making $1 million a year. I have a successful business. And one day, I'm frustrated. This is back in the cell phone days. So I don't know, probably the cell phone time period was between 19 and 21 or 18 and a half and 21. And one day I leave one of the stores and I literally have, I think $5 or $10 or $15,000 in the bag. Because that's how I moved around with money. Like I couldn't fold money because that much money you don't fold. You can't fold it. So I would have these bags from Bank of America. And I remember I came out of a store and I had this money in my glove. Took the money from the store and I put it into the glove compartment box. And then I'm driving different cars. At this time I had like an Audi. Every week I had a new car. I had a company that I worked with that I was able to get a new car every single week. So I'm driving an Audi now. I had $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 in the glove compartment box. And I'm not fulfilled. I'm not happy. I get to my house, and my mom's house actually. I take the money. I go into my bedroom, the same bedroom that I was raised in when I was, 8 years old, so on and so forth. I took the cash, threw it in the drawer. I lay down on the bed, and I let Pandora play. I'm screaming in my pillow. Ah! Like, what do you want me to do, God? Like, I'm confused. Like, I'm confused. I feel stuck. How do I have so much money? I have a business that's operating amazing. I have influence. I'm like the king of my neighborhood. I'm the king of my area. I'm hiring my friends' parents. I'm giving my old high school friends jobs. I'm a dope dude, but I don't feel fulfilled. Like, I don't get it. And a song played. And it was a song that goes, once I was 7 years old, my story was told. It's a song about this guy, about a guy who goes from 7 to 21 to 30 to 60 years old in a 4-minute time span. And then at the end, he pretty much made a comment about how his dad died. And I listened to this 4-minute song and I'm like, wow, life is short, literally 4 minutes short. And at this moment, that should be a book. But at this moment, I'm like, I got to do something radically different. I got to change my life. And it was at that moment where I decided to move to California, literally in one split second. So I moved to California. I closed down the business. 14 employees. It took me 3 months to get everybody out, finish off all the contracts, and sell off all the inventory. 86 days to be exact. And I'm in California. A year into living in California, I go dead broke. I had $19.73 in my bank account. So I go from having all this much money to having $19.73 within, I don't know, a year and a half. I did not work for that year and a half. I did not work. I literally retired. And I rested on my laurels. I rested on my success. I'm driving past McDonald's and I realized I don't even have enough money to order a Big Mac if I wanted to. I got $19.73 in my bank account. I just tried to do a transaction. And when I was trying to do a deal with a client, I had to pay for parking for $10. So now I got $9.73, and that's when I passed McDonald's. And I was thinking back in my past, I was like, man, I was doing so well back in the day. Everything was amazing. I had all these different cars. I had all this money, and I was just constantly reminiscing in the past. But as I look back now, 2 years later from that, 2.5 years later from that experience, I am far from that type of position. I employ people now. And I realized that experience was for my growth. That experience of going broke was for my growth. So my advice to people that are looking back now, or thinking back to a time where whatever, where life was better, or thinking about the past, recognize that the position that you're in right now is for your growth in the future, and stay present in the moment that you're growing in the future.
That's really good. Definitely, because I think growing is, I mean, we all go through stages. Like, we all go through those phases in our life and those seasons where it's hard, or something happens, or we fall into either like depression or anxiety, or things just, we feel like our whole life is falling apart. But it all happens for a reason. It all happens for a purpose, because at the end of the day, we are still powerful. We are still strong. And like, we are made to be this successful and strong and powerful.
Exactly. Very true. I believe that wholeheartedly.